Hello and welcome back. This is the Clay Golem, this is Foundry VTT, this is Curse of Strahd, and we've finished Arc P, the Ravenloft Heist. So this is just to bring you up to date with where we are, and there'll be a link in the description so you can download the complete module up to and including Arc P Ravenloft Heist. So in the previous video I said I just needed to finish a couple of things off for Dinner with the Devil, which I have done, and then I got carried away and did the whole of Arc P. Sorry about that. So just to walk through, we start off heading back to the castle. Now I did and ah about, how they break back into the castle, because the chances are they're going over the walls, flying, etc. So what do? Do they come in at that level at the top of the walls? So I decided not to do that. So the ground floor of the castle, I've just cut out the overlay from the top of the walls and slapped it on here as an additional tile. So if they come over the walls, we've got our whites patrolling there, but you can see that's a tile that just fades away because the chances are they're going to go over the walls and land in the courtyard and go in the castle on the ground floor. Alternatively, they might land on the walls and try to make their way in on that higher level. So this way you've kind of got both of those covered. Alright, so actually walking into the place itself, it's really dark, isn't it? See if I can make that daylight. Make that a bit brighter for everybody. Yeah, not going to particularly much because obviously I've got my regions on that make everything dark. So I will remember to switch those back. So obviously this is pretty much the same maps as Dinner with the Devil. In fact, it's exactly the same maps. But because a lot of characters are in different places, rather than just using the one lot of maps, I did recreate all of those maps, or rather I copied those maps and recreated them so that I could put creatures in where they would be for this chapter. Because this happens the night after the players have spent the night at Castle Ravenloft. So we've got our monsters in there that are hidden. We've got Ludmilla in there. Now, just so you're aware, if you're not already aware, Dragna is continuing to change and update the module. He accepts feedback. He's making those changes and things. So some things we've already built are now slightly different. Now, one of those examples is to do with some of the monsters. So when we look at Strahd's forces, now we already encountered when we were talking ages ago, Coffin Maker's Shop. Valenta Popovsky has two forms, her first form and her second form. Those have been a little bit updated. So rather than just calling the first and second form, they've actually got names, the Alchemist and the Frenzied, whatever it is. But that's also the same for Raedin, that's the same for Ludmilla. So you can see I've got three Ludmillas now. That original first form, but actually the Mist Fiend and the Elementalist, which is what she's in those two forms when they encounter her here. So I've done that, and Astrasia again, we've got two different of those. So that, yeah, there's a few little changes and things like that. So what I'll need to do as I continue to move forward is actually go back to the beginning and make some of those updates. And it might just be simply things swapping out the original Raedin for the new Raedin. So a lot of that will just be checking those things. But it does really mean, for me to make sure it's accurate for you, my players have already passed some of those bits, but to make sure it's accurate for you, if you're starting from the beginning, just basically going through the whole module again and making changes. But I get distracted. Right, so what's special about this? Like I say, we've got the creatures in. Now I have obviously put lights on where I think lights make sense from the module, changed them to suit yourself. I've got the shadow down here in the bottom right corner, which they potentially meet and will follow them around. I think I've put some sounds in on this one. Yes, I did. I put a trigger in. I did want to show you this. So when they come in, they can hear the organ playing, but it gets cut off by a scream. If I use Ludmilla as an example here, we should be able to trigger those sounds. So there we go. We've got the organ playing when they walk in. You've got a chance to describe where that sound is coming from. It sounds like it's coming from the dining room, etc. So you can do that, and then it suddenly gets cut off, which it will any moment. I left it a bit longer than normal because I wanted to make sure there was time for discussing and for the players to have a chat and be midway through their conversation before it gets cut off by the scream. My timing was pretty good there. Now what I do need to remember, so that will only play once. So this tile will automatically, so when I look at the triggers, it will automatically deactivate itself afterwards. So it won't play, it will only play for everyone the first character. So it just triggers playing the organ, it waits for 30 seconds, it triggers a scream, and then it stops the organ sound and then deactivates this tile. So yeah, so that's all kind of nice. That works really nicely. It's a couple of little bits like that I've put in through here, to be honest, just to give it a bit of atmosphere. Who's this over here? Oh yeah, that's Ludmilla, who's down here, because there's several places they might encounter and fight Ludmilla. I thought the most obvious one would be following her down, or rather she retreats and they follow her down to the chapel where they have that big battle with her. So she's down there. As I say, these have been updated to match that. Of course, automations aren't in there because we're not building Curse of Strahd with automations. We've also got some extra graphics in here just to match up with what the module says. We've got a cocoon over here that's blocking the passage, things like that. So that's the ground floor. That's kind of all good. That's all ready to go. I've kind of run through it by myself just to make sure everything's in the right place, and it is. First floor, or second floor if you're American. It's confusing, isn't it? So this one again, this is all ready to go. We've got Leaf is in here. What else did I need? Oh, the animated broom, because Dragna Carter's one does change that encounter there. But everything else in here, I don't think there was any particular sound effects or anything in this one. Oops, no, I didn't want to draw a new one. No, I did not. Yeah, I don't think there's any particular sound effects or anything on this level. The second floor, third floor, depending where you're from. Again, I don't think there was anything particular on here. I will go through and just put all these darknesses back on again. We've got our rats as they were before, but we've also got our crawling claws have been added in, which bulks out that particular encounter. I've put in quite a lot of places. I've put in the treasures and things that can be found, like the DOS loot. So if I just go on the right hand side and go look at items in Act 3, there's now loads of items in there, which include scrolls that can be found, the musket, the witch's spellbook. All of those items are all being created for you, ready to go, and just using the item piles. Now some of these are hidden until they kind of search or find or investigate. They won't know. I don't want them kind of going, oh look, there's a magic loot. I want them to go, oh look, there's a loot, and then they can go over and have a look, and then I can make it pick upable for them. We've got Gertruda's in here. So Gertruda, who's being held captive, and I've got the wights that come in to attack, ready to go. Same with Anastasia here, Anastasia, however you want to pronounce it. She's here with her first and second forms. So again, once again, she starts off in her first form, and then we've got her second form in there. And I just wanted to mix up that image and make sure we had a separate image for that. What else we got? I think we got firelight. We got fire sounds here for the crackling fire. Of course, if they extinguish the fire, remember to turn off the sounds as well. And then they can go through to the loot room. Now again, I've put all the loot, all of the gold and silver and stuff that they can find. I've put that all and dropped that in a chest. So once again, it's easy for them, the players that is, to actually do their own looting. You know, there's always one member of the party who's going to take more than their fair share, try and take everything. Well, that's part of the fun. They can do that. If they manage to get to here. Now this is a bit of a weird one. Because getting into the sanctuary is quite difficult, but if they do, there's treasure in here, so I've popped in all of the treasure that is in there. Now I haven't matched it exactly for treasure. I've done things like I've put carnelians in instead of whatever it was in the module, rather than creating hundreds and hundreds of items just for different gemstones. Let's face it, the players don't really care what the gemstones are, they care about how much they're worth, so that's fine. You can see stupid amounts of money available in here if they can carry it. Potions, the Pearl of Power, light crossbow, etc. So all of those have all been created where needed. or just dragged in. So again, nice and easy for your players, just to, assuming they get into there, to loot the place. Now, the weird thing is about Curse of Strahd. I've said it so many hundreds of times this year and I forgot. The strange thing about Curse of Strahd is it's really light on loot, because there isn't really dungeon delves and things like that. So it tends to be like, oh, not a lot of loot, not a lot of loot, not a lot of loot. And then they get somewhere like this, and fair enough, they're raiding the castle. There should be loot here. Suddenly they're filthy rich and finding really good equipment. But it takes a while to get here. I just think that's quite an interesting way to do it. What are we on? We're on the second floor. So next floor up. Once again, let's turn that darkness off. This has all been redone as well. So we've got the portrait of Strahd, which currently is hidden, and the rug of smothering, because there's a combat that happens here, assuming they come this way. And I've put Escher. I've assumed that when they come in here, according to the module, Escher runs and hides in the cupboard. So I thought, well, rather put him there, I've just put him hiding straight away. But you'll notice all of these are hidden tokens, so that you can just unhide them when you need to. Same as the cat that comes down the stairs and watches that fight before fleeing again. So yeah, they're all just hidden tokens. Standard way that I've been choosing to do stuff. It's on hand, ready to go, but not immediately visible. Up to the next floor, which includes, let's make it a little bit lighter again for you. This is where the witches are. Here's the cats. Meow, 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 meow. And the items that they may have picked up actually previously. So those are hidden. Animated brooms, including there's actually a broom of flying in here. So they can get that as well. And again, if you read the module, you'll find it's all in here. Here are all the witches. Now, one of the changes is, instead of there being 7 witches, there's now different types of witches in here. So I've got different images for those different types of witches. You've got a hex witch, you've got the bog witch, and you've got the storm witch. So those are all in there. They're all built, ready to go. Obviously, the same images for each kind of monster, if you like. But I have defined the difference between those. And of course, there's a nice witch's spell book here that has a whole bunch of spells in, which might be very, very useful treasure for certain members of the party. The ring that can be found through the crack in this staircase, that's still here. In case they haven't found it yet, they might find it on this pass through. And I've stuck this plague zombie just here on the outside, hidden, because depending what they do, that's either a normal zombie in the middle of the room here, or it's a plague zombie. So you can just easily just drag it and switch it out without too much drama. Right, onwards. 5th floor. Not a lot on the 5th floor, because we've kind of reached the top of the roof, so there's not an awful lot going on here. That's absolutely fine. 6th floor, I don't think there was anything going on up here either. Nope, nothing going on up here at all. The 7th floor, though, if they go right to the very top of the tower, it talks about the fact that they get attacked by swarms of bats. So I've just slapped them out. Again, they're all hidden for now. You can describe it. If they hang around, your tokens are there to go immediately into combat. Lovely jubbly. Let's go down into the dungeon. Alright, again, let's sort that lighting out so you can actually see something. I've already got it switched off. I just didn't really notice. Oh, it's dark down here though, isn't it? Let's can I put daylight on? Make the whole thing a bit brighter. There we go. Here it comes in. So there are some lights down here. I've got the hidden characters that they may or may not fight. And we've got Cyrus is here in the middle here. And of course, where they're coming to, in theory, is here because they want this dragon skull. Now, I've just noticed that dragon skull says dragon skull on it, and I don't want it to display the name. There we go. So that's the dragon skull, and you can see it's an item pile. So if they do decide to take the dragon skull, which they probably will, because that's one of the quests, it's kind of there. It's just a tile. It's above them, so they walk under that tile, but it's obvious for them to see that that actually is there. In fact, actually, probably shouldn't be hidden. So characters can walk straight underneath it and know that there's this big dragon skull above their heads. Now, in this room, there are these, basically these bone mounds that are monster generators that keep producing skeletons until these are destroyed. So I've put one of these in each corner. So just a pile of bones and things, and of course they've got hit points and stuff ready to be duffed in, and put the skeletons in. So essentially every round they produce a skeleton each, and the idea being is the players need to destroy the bone mounds to stop the skeletons from continually spawning, which is cool. So that's all in there. I've filled out this place. Yeah, I filled out this place with all of the monsters. It's absolutely packed with zombies down here, which is interesting. Now I did put some other sounds in somewhere. Was it on this one? Can't remember. But that bit's all ready to go. Again, we've got some treasures up here. You can see we've got these items here, and we've also got the Raedin's letter, so they can actually look at the letter and read it and take it, put it in their inventory if they wish to. Same with the good luck stone, or the luck stone. That's down there as well, ready to go. So again, another scene that's kind of all set up, ready to go. All you need to do is, well, obviously make sure you read the module to know what the heck is going on. But that's it. That's your prep. The lower dungeons. Now this took flipping ages because, first of all, so the cells. I've put in, because they can't see into the cells until they open the door, I haven't bothered hiding these, but I've put in all of these treasure items in there, again as item piles. So if they walk in, they can see them and they can pick them up. We've got a grey ooze in here. We've got this lost mace. Now, originally I believe it's a short sword or something. Drag the Carter recommends making it a mace, and I agree. Swords are so frequent, and you find them everywhere when it comes to magic items. Normally, you know, sword of sharpness, a sword +3 and things. What about our poor clerics and druids and other things that don't use those weapons? So I think it's really important to mix up a little bit. So mace is usable by most players, so whoever wants it can have it. Down here I've put in Emil, who in theory they're coming to rescue. I've put Milivoy in here as well. Now if you may or may not recall, Milivoy is the young lad who steals the bones from the church in reward for payment. And anyway, he can end up arrested and he can end up in these dungeons here. Depending how your campaign goes, he's either here or he's not. So he's hidden at the moment. You just reveal him if he is here. And then the players can choose to rescue him, because it's quite harsh punishment for him to end up in these dungeons. Now, there are traps around here, and I put these in. If I just do that, you can see these traps are all in place here. Let me grab a character and just show you how this works. It doesn't matter who I grab because it will work for everybody. When we set off one of these traps, we get that kind of underwater explosion noise. I'm not sure if you can see very clearly. You can if I turn the light on. That it reveals the trap under the water there. So just like the grid. And it teleports the player. So in accordance with the Dragna Carter module. Now in this case, that first one sticks this character straight into the Iron Maiden. So I've got the character teleporting over here and being restrained straight away. So that's nice for them, isn't it? There we go. There's another one there, just went off. This one they end up. Now it talks about the different torture devices, and of course the map doesn't have necessarily got them on. So I've put on the breaking wheel, and as you saw, she just got teleported to there. And again, it will put on that restrained thing. We've got the iron ball. We've got the various racks and stuff like that. Anton, he's the servant who serves drinks at the dinner. And depending how that goes, he might end up in a cage being tortured or not. So he's there ready if you need him. We've got some zombies in the water here. Now what I'd quite like about this is, depending how many of those traps they set off, depends how many of the members of party end up trapped in these various torture devices. You know, in the Iron Maiden, strapped to the rack, on the breaking wheel. So if you've got a smaller party, you could end up with them all restrained, which is a bit of a it's a bit of a killer, and it's very difficult for them to escape by themselves. So chances are you'll end up with some of the party trapped and some of them not. when the rest of the party come in to try and rescue them, you've got a choice of either using these zombies to move in attack straight away, or you can wait until Valenta here, again hidden at the moment, until she decides to, you know, she might want to watch the fun and the action first, and then call the zombies to attack. I mean, they're 3 zombies. The levels the players are here, that is not much of a fight. The main fight is with her. Okay, whew. So I told you this took ages, the lower dungeons. This is where a lot of it happens. There's a lot of the rescuing and everything else. Now what I do need to do is just make sure that I reset these, or otherwise that's going to be pants. I want to go back to the original image. That's all good, and reactivate that trap. Thank you very much. And it was this one over here. So again, onto triggers, images. I want that first image, which is blank, and I want to make sure it's activated. There we go. And I can get rid of you. Thank you. Don't need you anymore. Lovely. At some point, I'm going to encounter and go, why is she restrained? There we go. So yeah, in theory, big battle with Valenta here. Who will use her first and second form, and she will fight to the death. So we've seen some of these characters through other chapters and things. Now is where in the castle they actually fight to the death. Now this room's quite interesting. This is the teleport room, and there's this flame in the middle here, and some gemstones. Now depending what gemstone they pick depends where they get teleported to. So I've got some buttons down the side for you for this. So for example, if they choose the violet one, want to go to Perez, I've got to make sure my colours are okay, because that's not very violet at all, is it? But you can see whichever one they click on, it will change those colours. Now I originally had this set up. That blue could be a bit more blue and a bit less purple. I had this originally set up so that it would also teleport the tokens, and I decided not to, because you can see there the kind of places they get teleported to. So rather than, oh, I need to make sure the individual person gets teleported and then the rest of the party stay here, it's a little bit awkward. So I decided that I wouldn't do that. I would stick with the party being in this room. And if one of the players went, oh, okay, I'm going to pick up the green gemstone and I'm going to throw it in there, I'm going to describe that the flames change to being this green. And they're going to have that description, and then if that player says I'm going to put my hand into the flames, I'm going to delete their token. So the rest of the party will be going, whoa, what happened? And they don't necessarily, they might understand from the riddle, but it's not going to be instantly clear that they've teleported, and the player who's teleported won't actually know that yet either. And once that initial shock has worn off, then I will go to that player and say, this is where you've arrived. So you're here. I just thought that was an easier way to do it. So I need to adjust those colours a little bit before I release it. Here's the other shadow. So I mentioned earlier there was a shadow and they get to meet each other and things like that. There's the other one. This is the trapdoor that slides down here and into the cells. Now what I didn't do is I didn't make that. I don't think I did in the end. I didn't make that an actual tile that does anything, because I didn't see that there was really any benefit for that. If they tread on that, brilliant. They get to slide all the way down into the cell. You can just move them. Now here is where, oh dear lord, this took a long time. All the catacombs. Raedin, this is where they will have their main fight with Raedin here, when they attempt to leave. So he's just hidden off to one side at the moment. Now all of these, I went through all of these rooms. There's very little lights down here. I don't think any of the rooms have got lights in. I'm not sure. There's only one that I put the sound in. Dripping water, you should be able to hear there. I've also popped a couple of Raedins down here, by the way, depending on exactly where they encounter him. So his first and second form are both down here. But anywhere where there are items in here, so monsters, for example, or spirits for them to talk to, have all been put in. We've got the monsters over here as well. That needs to be open. Some treasures, of course, where there is treasure. All sorts of things going on. More treasure. More treasure. Now, Kazan, with his staff, if they want to pry the gems out of the skull, I've made this a container, so they can take his teeth, they can take his opal eyes, and because it's a container, once they take everything out of it, it'll just leave the skull behind. I have brought his staff in here, which I have kind of updated to make sure it's got kind of everything we sort of can. But of course we don't have full automation, so it's not a fully automated staff, but you might want to try and do that yourselves if you are using automation. So these bits are all filled in. I mentioned about the sound effects on the drippy cave there. We've got more treasure in some of these. Again, tons and tons of gold, including a spell book, which is all built with all of the spells in for that book, which is it's a very tasty book to find. What else have we got down here? We got, what was this? This was the Holy Symbol of the Morning Lord, so that's all there for you. We've got some scrolls and some other equipment that they can scrounge up. The spork, yeah, so I got a picture of the jeweled spork that they can find, so that's in there as well, which I thought was pretty cool. We've got, who was this? Oh, the Phantom Warrior Spirit and the Orb of Direction that they can also find while they're down here. And the Spear of the Huntress as well. So again, that's another item that has been modified from the original module. A few more items down here. As I mentioned, Raoden's down here. And we've got the Icon of Dawn's Grace. So I've updated all the descriptions and stuff for this and put in the various activities. Again, they're not going to be fully automated, but they're there anyway, kind of ready to go, nice and easy for you to add your automations on if you wish to do so. And then finally we're down here and we've got the spawns and things. Now, did I do the teleporters? I didn't do the teleporters. There are a couple of teleporters in here, but that's, yeah, no big drama. Don't need to worry about those. I put in the beams of light over here just to make that stand out a bit more. This light barrier, it's not really a barrier, they can walk through it. Well, most of them can walk through it. Check the module, you'll know what I mean. So tons and tons of stuff done, but it is ready to go. So all of those bad guys, Ludmilla's ready to go, Valenta's ready to go, Raoden's ready to go. Those are the ones they're going to, oh, Anastasia as well. They're the ones that they're going to end up having proper fights in. Remember the idea that this part of the adventure, this arc happens. Strahd has buggered off for the night, so they are using that opportunity to raid the castle and complete some missions, including rescuing Emil, possibly, the werewolf leader. That's one of their things that they are probably likely to want to do. They are also after the idol. That's another thing that they'll want to do. What was the other thing? Oh, possibly rescue Malvoy, if they even know he's here. And it was, what was the thing on the upper dungeon? What was that? There was something else they were. Oh, the skull, of course. Collecting the skull, that's part of it too. So again, all of the items that you need for that, all the things that are going to find are on there. You can see things like the alchemy jug, the amber teeth from the skull, the amulet of Ravenloft is here. Actually, that's on Raoden. Raoden's actually got that, so that's all in here as well. I just copied the descriptions, everything's in there, but it's not, again, it's not automated because there's no point. All of the capes, all of those things, all in here. The Icon of Dawn's Grace, as I mentioned. The Manual of Bodily Health is in here. Tons and tons of those bits all ready to go. And of course, as usual, all of your NPCs that you need. Strahd's forces, all of your other NPCs from the whole of this this chapter, and all your monsters as well. There's a lot of monsters and NPCs and stuff in Act 3, so they're all together. So I am going to go through and I'm going to change all my lighting back to where it should be for running this. There we go, adjust our darkness. I want the castle to be dark when they're exploring it. I want them to have to use their own lighting or dark vision. There's nothing worse than a player who deliberately takes dark vision or casts dark vision and everything's lit up. And they're like, well, why did I bother? Why did I bother doing that? So you can see it looks very different when it's all dark. There's very little lighting around here for them to wander around through. By the way, how I did this lights, I did want to actually, just in case people were wondering how I did this, all I did was have the different coloured lights, and I stacked them up on top of each other. So only one of these lights is ever active at a time. These buttons, what they do is, as I click them, you can see all it's doing is turning off all the lights except the one, and then turning on the one light colour that you need. So using Monk's active tile triggers, what I've given them all a label. I've given all the lights a label. Let me select one of those. Any one of these. They've all got a label of the light that they are, and also just a label called light. So all of these have got the label called light, and they've got their specific colour. So when we look at any one of these and we're looking at triggering, when the Game Master clicks on them, what it will do is it will deactivate all of the items that are tagged as just light, which means these lights, all of these lights. It will deactivate all of them, and then it will activate that one specific light, in this case on this button, orange. So it's really simple to do, and it just means as I click these buttons, every button click, it turns off every single light and then turns on the one light that I want it to do. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And of course I need to now stack all these lights back up on top of each other so they all look like that light's emanating from the same place, because it is. But you don't want to have to like separate them all, turn them off and turn them all back on again in the middle of the game. So I thought buttons would be much, much easier for that. Right, am I rambling? Yeah, of course I am. That's what I do, innit? So just making sure that I've got all of these darknesses where they should be. It is night time, so I need to make sure the lights, the regions are darkened, and I've got them done to that. And then I'm going to package this up while this video is compiling. I'll get this packaged, uploaded. By the time you get this video, there is a link in the description. Download, ready to go, everything up to Arc P. Then we've just got to finish the Shining Beacon, which I've already made a start on, which kind of, again, finishes off Act 3. So we're nearly there for Act 3. So last thing on that, as I mentioned previously, Dragdakata is updating stuff. That's already happened, but he's continuing to work forward on the next chapters and things like that. So I was sort of saying like, when we get to the next Act 4, we're kind of missing stuff. Well, actually, Arc R and Arc S have been published and they're now available. And he's moving on to T and U at the moment. And they're kind of in drafts and stuff like that. But I do have access to his drafts. So if we catch up with him again, I will build based on his drafts and then go back and make any changes that we need to, because making the changes is much quicker than building from scratch. And look at that. I've left you looking at a dark, blank screen. Ugly, huh? Take care. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. This is the Clay Golem. Thank you.